I remember, and I think it's because, like you, my mom would point things out or notice things, but I do remember being in middle school in English class, and I had a woman who actually still goes here. Mary Alice Dick was my English teacher, and she's a very good English teacher, and she was saying that you needed to use he for the unknown third person. And I said in the class, well, don't you think that we should use he or she? Because that way you're saying that it's unknown and we don't know who the person is, so shouldn't we say he or she? And she said, no, the way it is in grammar is that you use masculine for an unknown third person. And I said, yes, but don't you think it would be better if we said he or he/she, and she said, no, that's not how we're doing things, how they are, not how they should be or could be, and that in grammar you use masculine pronouns for an unknown third person. And so I would write my papers and I would go, oh, I can't do that. So I would have this little dilemma, and I don't know what I did. I don't know if I turned in papers
saying
that said,
either and
I probably worked my way around it, and
yeah.
I often would use they, and like make it a group or
right.
find ways to avoid having the situation. But I remember clearly that I didn't think that was right at all. and Mom would talk about she talked last night about how, we had, how she would notice in hymns in high school and things. So I connected that a little with Mom, but I remember it for myself too. And my parents were very egalitarian around the house, although Mom still had to be in charge of making sure everything got done and assigning the chores. She made sure everybody had equal amount of work and things. So it wasn't it's an excursion into another world when I went to somebody else's house and their mom would, go scurry to get them a snack after school or, to take care of them. Oh, I think I like our way better. It's more empowering to each person if they can be in charge of getting their snack in. So, but who knows, if I had grown up the other way, I would maybe.
I was awakened fairly recently, within the last 5 years, as I was in counseling. My therapist asked me one day, Deb, who are you? And I said, I don't have a clue. I've spent a lifetime being whom everyone else wanted me to be, and I don't have a clue who I am. And she said, well, I think that's pretty important. Would you like to find out? And I eagerly said yes. And then every assignment she gave me, when I would come back in a week or 2 weeks, it wouldn't be done. And finally one day she said, what are you afraid of? And I said, what if I don't like her? What if I don't like this person that I don't even know? And that was really scary to me. And so little by little, in fact, that's how I got started making jewelry. That was my creative outlet to create something with my hands. I began making jewelry and got a great deal of satisfaction from that, and moved from one thing to another as I discovered who I was and began to accept the parts of me even that maybe I didn't like and that I should change. I could still accept those parts, and that's who I am. And how that changed our marriage, because I wasn't as willing to put up with some things that I put up with, and it caused problems, because I think I began being more aggressive than assertive until I found the balance there, between being aggressive and assertive. And during that time, and the rest of the group knows, my husband hit me one day. I provoked him, called him a moron, which is his hot spot. He doesn't like to have his intelligence questioned, and I called him a moron, and he hit me several times in the face with a closed fist. And I wasn't quite sure if I was going to stay or leave or what, but he agreed that he would get some anger management and find out what was going on with him too. And it's been a rocky 2 or 3 years, but the last year has been fairly good, or maybe I should say the last 6 months. I don't know when we had our last crisis maritally, but I am who I am now, and I know who I am, and I'm pretty much okay with it. Of course there are things I'd like to change, but it was very freeing to discover who I am. Very freeing. And Women's Caucus has been a big part of that. The women in this group, even though we've changed people, we started out with Jan Fairchild and Cynthia and Carissa, and all those people are gone already, but they gave me a safe space to be myself and to voice my views and my opinions and consider them and accept me. And it's been the first safe space I've ever had in my life.
I am woman, hear me roar, in numbers too big to ignore, and I know too much to go back and pretend.